In the history of Major League Baseball, few players commanded universal admiration quite like Melvin Ott. He crushed 511 home runs across an entire career with one team. But statistics alone cannot explain why even rival fans rose to applaud him. What made this diminutive slugger so beloved? The answer lies in the words of those who witnessed his greatness firsthand. In September of 1925, a nervous 16-year-old boy stepped off a train at Grand Central Station, clutching a straw suitcase. Melvin Ott had traveled alone from Gretna, Louisiana, after lumber magnate Harry Williams purchased him a ticket to try out for the New York Giants. The teenager had been rejected by his hometown New Orleans Pelicans for being too small. Now he faced the legendary John McGraw, baseball's most intimidating manager. McGraw watched the boy take batting practice at the Polo Grounds. Line drive after line drive rocketed toward the right field wall. The manager turned to his Hall of Fame second baseman, Frankie Frisch, barely containing his excitement. McGraw told Frisch, as chronicled in multiple accounts from that September day, "Did you see that? He's just like one of those golfers that never takes his eye off the ball. His whole body moves, but his head doesn't." Later, speaking with a reporter after the tryout, McGraw made a prophetic declaration. "He's got the most natural swing I've seen in years. This lad is going to be one of the greatest left-hand hitters the National League has ever seen." Why would McGraw, notoriously difficult to impress, express such immediate confidence? Ott's swing was pure, uncontaminated by poor coaching, instinctive perfection that McGraw feared would be ruined if anyone tampered with it. In January of 1926, McGraw signed the still 16-year-old Ott to a contract with a $400 bonus. The boy would never play a single game in the minor leagues. What McGraw saw that September day was not just raw power, but something far more unusual, a batting stance unlike anything in baseball. As Ott prepared to swing, he lifted his front right leg extraordinarily high off the ground, holding it suspended before bringing the bat through the zone. It looked absurd. It defied conventional wisdom, and McGraw refused to let anyone change it. Other coaches wanted to fix the young player's unorthodox mechanics. Casey Stengel, then managing the Giants' Double-A affiliate in Toledo, requested that Ott be sent down for proper development. McGraw's response was emphatic and non-negotiable. As documented by the Baseball Hall of Fame, McGraw stated firmly, "I don't want anyone tinkering with that natural swing." The manager kept his teenage prodigy on the major league bench for 2 years, personally tutoring him rather than risk some minor league coach destroying what nature had created. But was Ott's leg kick merely a quirk, or did it serve a purpose? Branch Rickey, the brilliant general manager of the rival St. Louis Cardinals, studied Ott obsessively throughout the 1930s. Rickey understood what others missed. In his analysis recorded in Fred Stein's biography, Rickey explained, "You will notice that he lifts that front leg just as the pitcher releases the ball, and he puts it down after he sees what sort of pitch is coming and where it is coming from. That's why he never is caught off balance or out of position." Years later, Giants player Alvin Dark would describe the stance more colorfully, recalling that Ott lifted his lead foot right off the ground like he was getting ready to kick at a dog. Rickey's analysis revealed the genius behind the mechanics. Ott's leg kick was a perfect timing device that allowed him to read the pitch mid-motion and adjust accordingly. This explains Ott's extraordinary contact rate, only 896 strikeouts across his entire career while maintaining elite power. For a power hitter, that contact rate was extraordinary. But natural talent alone does not create greatness. Behind Ott's seemingly effortless swing lay countless hours of deliberate practice. In 1928, he partnered with teammate Lefty O'Doul, one of baseball's finest hitters, to refine his approach. O'Doul, reflecting years later on their time together, revealed the dedication behind Ott's success. One of the things that made him a great hitter was hard practice. "We used to spend hours, just the two of us, practicing hitting the ball down the right field foul line. We got so we could keep it fair by a few inches. Few inches, not feet, but inches. This was surgical precision, not luck." The Polo Grounds right field line measured just 257 feet, the shortest in baseball. Critics called Ott a Polo Grounds hitter, suggesting his home runs were cheap. Ott's response was simple. If it was so easy, all other hitters would be doing it. Ott himself credited McGraw's mentorship for more than just protecting his swing, stating, "McGraw taught me 3 lasting lessons: hustle, be aware, and always anticipate the next play." At 5 feet 9 inches and 170 pounds, Ott was the smallest among baseball's great sluggers. Babe Ruth stood 6 feet tall and weighed over 200 pounds. Jimmy Fox was built like a tank, yet Ott matched their power through perfect mechanics and relentless work. The results were staggering. From 1928 through 1945, Ott led the Giants in home runs for 18 consecutive seasons. No player in Major League Baseball history has ever matched this record of sustained dominance in a single offensive category. He became the first National League player to join baseball's most exclusive club, the 5-100 home run circle. At 20 years and 75 days old, he became the youngest player ever to hit 100 home runs, a record that stands today, nearly a century later. Frankie Frisch, the Hall of Fame second baseman who witnessed Ott's debut, would use him as the ultimate measuring stick. Comparing a young prospect in the 1940s, Frisch stated, "I don't think I've seen a kid so young with such an excellent swing, unless it was Mel Ott when he first reported to McGraw at the age of 16. But perhaps no tribute was more powerful than that of teammate Fred Lindstrom, speaking after Ott's death in 1958. Lindstrom admitted his initial doubts before declaring, "My first impression was that he couldn't make the grade because of his heavy legs, but through constant play, his legs tapered and he became, I think, about the greatest ball player we've ever seen." Those heavy legs had been a genuine concern. McGraw hired Bernie Weffers, a world-class sprinter, to teach Ott proper running technique to prevent cramping and injury. Ott's physical transformation from awkward teenager to polished athlete was remarkable, but his evolution as a person made him truly unique in baseball history. Behind the scenes, teammates heard rhythmic thumping from his hotel room. Ott wadded up pillows on the floor and practiced sliding technique for hours. Veterans smiled knowingly. Little Sunshine is stealing bases again. Yet what truly set Ott apart was something unprecedented in professional sports. He was beloved even by rival fans. Leo Durocher managed the Brooklyn Dodgers during the 1940s, when the Dodgers-Giants rivalry burned hottest. Brooklyn fans were notorious for their intensity, booing their own players mercilessly when performance faltered. Yet Durocher observed something extraordinary about how they treated the Giants star. Reflecting on Ott's playing career during the mid-1940s, Durocher stated, "I never knew a baseball player who was so universally loved. Why, even when he was playing against the Dodgers at Ebbets Field, he would be cheered, and there are no more rabid fans than in Brooklyn." Think about what this meant. Brooklyn fans cheering a Giants player at Ebbets Field was like Yankees fans applauding David Ortiz at Yankee Stadium. It simply did not happen. The Sporting News, baseball's most respected publication, captured the essence of Ott's character in an editorial, citing him as a quiet, modest hero and declaring his gentleness, kindness, and good sportsmanship always set a fine example. In an era before calculated public images and media training, Ott's character was genuine, and people recognized authenticity when they saw it. Ott's influence extended far beyond New York. Young players across America studied not just his swing, but how he carried himself. Among them was a boy in Donora, Pennsylvania, who would become one of the greatest hitters in baseball history. Stan Musial played for the rival St. Louis Cardinals, accumulating 3,630 hits and a .331 batting average across his legendary career. Yet in his autobiography, Stan Musial, the man's own story, Musial revealed who inspired him as a child. Recalling his boyhood in Donora, Musial wrote that he considered Ott one of my early idols during my boyhood. I liked his mannerisms and his manners. Notice the duality, mannerisms and manners, technique and character. Musial learned not just how to swing a bat like Ott, but how to conduct himself like a champion. Ott's technical influence spread even further. Harold Baines and Kirby Puckett would later adopt similar leg kicks in their batting stances. Most remarkably, Sadaharu Oh of Japan developed an almost identical stance independently, using it to hit 868 home runs in his career. But Ott's greatest legacy was proving that dominance and decency were not mutually exclusive. In modern sports culture dominated by trash talk and manufactured villain personas, Ott demonstrated an alternative path: excellence paired with humility, power combined with grace. In December of 1941, Ott became player-manager of the Giants at age 32. His first season showed promise with a third-place finish. Then, World War II devastated his roster. Stars enlisted or were drafted. Ott managed with replacement players, teenagers, and men too old or physically unable to serve. The Giants finished last in 1943, their worst season since 1915. They climbed to fifth in 1944 and 45, then collapsed again to eighth place with a 61 and 93 record in 1946. Across 7 seasons as manager, Ott never finished higher than third. During this difficult period, Leo Durocher managed the rival Dodgers. Before a game in the mid-1940s, with the Giants mired in last place, Durocher spoke with columnist Frank Graham in the dugout. Looking across at the Giants, Durocher made a comment that would become baseball's most famous and most misunderstood, quote, "The full statement as Graham recorded it. Take a look at that number 4 there. A nicer guy never drew breath than that man there. Take a look at them, the Giants. All nice guys. They'll finish last. Nice guys finish last." Over time, this became shortened to "nice guys finish last," suggesting that kindness equals weakness. But that was never Durocher's point. He was commenting specifically on Ott's wartime challenge, managing with inferior players while being too kind to make ruthless roster decisions. The irony runs deeper. Durocher replaced Ott midway through the 1948 season. Giants fans initially hated Durocher. Yet in 1951, the Giants won the National League pennant under Durocher's leadership. That championship team was built on the foundation Ott had created. Most significantly, Willie Mays made his debut that season, having been signed to the Giants farm system during Ott's tenure. After leaving the Giants, Ott managed in the minor leagues briefly before becoming a broadcaster for the Detroit Tigers from 1956 to 1958. He had found peace away from the pressures of managing. On November 14th, 1958, Ott and his wife Mildred were driving through heavy fog in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Another driver lost track of the road's center line. The head-on collision left both Otts seriously injured. Mel died 1 week later on November 21st at age 49. When Leo Durocher received the news, the man known as Leo the Lip, famous for his toughness and combativeness, broke down completely. Crying, he telephoned restaurant owner Toots Shore with the news. Through tears, Durocher said, "Toots, he was the nicest guy that ever put on a shoe. Not the nicest baseball player, not the nicest athlete, the nicest guy that ever put on a shoe in life." The baseball world mourned. In 1959, the National League created the Mel Ott Award, given annually to the league's home run champion. His number 4 had already been retired by the Giants in 1949. In 2006, the United States Postal Service featured Ott on a commemorative stamp alongside Mickey Mantle, Hank Greenberg, and Roy Campanella, honoring baseball's greatest sluggers. But Ott's true legacy transcends the record books and all-star selections. From McGraw's discovery of a natural swing to Durocher's tears over the nicest guy ever, Ott's story reveals what greatness truly means. He proved that a small man with an unconventional stance could dominate through dedication, that excellence and kindness are not opposing forces, that how you treat people matters as much as what you accomplish. Mel Ott was beloved, not despite his character, but because of it.